The MCU is really spoiling us with content this year, and we've just gotten a look at their She-Hulk show coming in August. It also happens to feature a WWE Superstar. Is it Bautista, The Rock, John Cena? Dare we dream? Nope, it's actually David Otunga making his MCU debut. While John Cena isn't joining the MCU just yet, his once opponent and later partner David Otunga is. We don't have many details about his role yet, or if it's even a proper role, but he does show up in the trailer. The lucky guy gets to go out with the smart and pretty lawyer Jennifer Walters, and while he gets to show off his muscles, he probably wouldn't want to see hers. Otunga has made appearances on many reality shows, as well as cameos on General Hospital, Criminal Minds, and Family Time. While it's hard to say whether this time will be a major role for him or not, we think they wouldn't put him in the trailer if they didn't have plans for him. It also just so happens that he hasn't had any commitments to the WWE in a while. Up next, Better Call Dave. We joked earlier that David Otunga would probably have a hard time with Jen in her She-Hulk form, but the two characters have more in common than you'd think. Back in his wrestling days, Otunga was also a lawyer who could beat people in court just as well as he could in the ring. His time in the spotlight started on the inaugural episode of WWE's sleeper hit show NXT. He debuted alongside R-Truth, who was mentoring him at the time. Things quickly fell apart with R-Truth, and he began the phase of his career for which he's best known, the Nexus era. This is a group that needs no introduction, and Otunga was among the 7 NXT rookies who were called up to the main roster as part of the Nexus team. He has faced the likes of John Cena, Edge, and Kane. Switching gears in 2011, Otunga became a lawyer. He's not just a wrestling lawyer, by the way. He's got an actual JD from the Harvard Law School. His legal career in the WWE saw him supporting wrestlers against the authority of Triple H, with some punch-ups in the ring on the side. However, his in-ring time faded bit by bit, and as of 2017, he doesn't have much going on in the WWE. These days, he's pretty much just doing cameos and the occasional commentary role on WWE events. That does mean, however, that he's got time to make his own splash in Hollywood. So, what other wrestlers are in the MCU? Otunga is far from the first WWE superstar to trade in his wrestling trunks for superhero trunks. Being a superhero is a pretty natural transition for a wrestler, since they're both two different types of larger-than-life characters that can charm or threaten the universe. The superhero corner of Hollywood has become home to many wrestlers over the years. Since we're talking about the MCU, we have to start with Dave Bautista as Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Bautista won the hearts and minds of wrestling fans throughout his career with the WWE, and the transition to silver screen acting didn't diminish his charm or skills even a little bit. As Drax, Bautista never fails to get a laugh, and he holds his own against more established actors like Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Bradley Cooper, and Vin Diesel. Sadly, Bautista's time in the MCU is coming to an end. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is meant to be the last Guardians movie, so live or die, this will be the last we see of him in the MCU. Thanks to all the multiverse shenanigans, we suppose every Marvel movie is retroactively a part of the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse now. In that case, we would have to also count the time Randy Savage wore a suit his husband gave him in Spider-Man. Kevin Nash had a cameo in Thomas Jane's Punisher movie and was accidentally stabbed on set for his trouble. And we can't forget the time Triple H played a vampire, Jarko Grimwood, in Blade Trinity, complete with the most 2000s plastic fangs. Come to think of it, we're getting an MCU Blade movie, and Triple H has hung up his wrestling boots, so we might just get another encounter between Hunter and the Vampire Hunter. We'll wrap up this segment by mentioning the fact that the man herself, Becky Lynch, has been invited to play a role in a Marvel movie. She was in talks with Marvel Studios about what role she would play. Unfortunately, that was just days before she took a career hiatus because of her pregnancy. But when she told the story in an interview, she certainly sounded as though the matter wasn't closed just yet. We'd love to see Bex in a Marvel movie, but her star is brighter than ever at WWE, so we're thinking it'll be a while before she could commit to anything in Hollywood. Next, in other news, Bad Bunny to star in the most surprising Marvel movie yet. Is there anything that Bad Bunny can't do? He's already topped the music charts many times, including once on a track with Cardi B. He won the hearts and minds of audiences in the WWE, taking home the 24/7 championship back in 2021 and fighting at WrestleMania, the showcase of the Immortals. His aim is now set on the silver screen, with recurring appearances on Narcos Mexico and an appearance in the Brad Pitt film Bullet Train. But if anyone's talking about Bad Bunny now, it's because he's set to play the notorious and infamous Spider-Man villain El Muerto. Okay, El Muerto isn't really Spider-Man's Joker or anything like that. A superpowered wrestler, he played minor villainous roles in like 2 issues of Peter David's Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man in 2006. But Bad Bunny has proven himself to be a champ at everything he does, so for all we know, he may end up elevating the the character. This is a Sony movie though, so we'll have to hold our reservations. The movie is coming out in 2024. See if you can remember Venom or Morbius until then. And now, Black Adam is finally upon us. It feels like we've been hearing about The Rock's Black Adam movie for years now. Along with the Shazam movie, Black Adam had been in development limbo since the 2000s, and Dwayne Johnson first announced he would play the character way back in 2014. We finally got Shazam in 2019, and this very October, we'll finally be getting the Black Adam movie. Fun fact, Shazam and Black Adam weren't supposed to be separate movies. Adam was just going to be the villain in Shazam, but Jeff Johns, who was a creative lead on DC's movies, separated the movies because he didn't want a high-profile superstar like Johnson to be introduced as a movie's villain. The Black Adam movie will not feature Shazam either, but it will introduce new heroes associated with the Justice Society of America. What will be next for The Rock's first DC character? Well, in 2017, there was an outline that included further development of the JSA, as well as an encounter between Black Adam and Shazam, and later on, a fight with Henry Cavill's Superman. A lot has changed in DC's cinematic universe though, so we have to wonder how much of that roadmap will still apply. When it comes to DC's movies, it's best to take them one at a time. Finally, what about Peacemaker Season 2? Speaking of iconic faces doing movies, another prospect to look forward to is the next season of Peacemaker. This series that was basically written by James Gunn out of pandemic boredom was an absolute blast, and we're sure you're just as excited for what's next. So we have two questions. When will we get to give Peace another chance, and what's that gonna look like? According to Digital Spy, Peacemaker will be missing the entirety of 2022 and return around January of 2023. This is probably because of Gunn's commitment to the MCU, specifically Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and the Christmas special. Once he gets out of those, the only thing that might hold him up is that he's doing another Suicide Squad spin-off for HBO Max, which is supposed to come out around the same time. We're hoping that we get more Idris Elba as Bloodsport, or maybe the duo of Ratcatcher and King Shark could tear up the screen together. As for what it will be about, amazingly, Gunn himself doesn't know yet. There were plot threads left dangling after Season 1 that will probably be followed up in Season 2, but that's all we can say for certain. When Gunn last spoke about this, he was still wondering where to grow Peacemaker's character next, and what sort of plot could make that happen. Let's hope he figures it out soon, because we're dying to taste it. The good news is that most of the cast is expected to return, including Peacemaker's dad, which will require some explaining. While Cena totally stole the show as Peacemaker, he had a great secondary cast too, and it's great that the band is going to be together when Season 2 finally drops. That's all our superhero news for today. Why don't we all head to the comments section and do some fun casting? Which wrestlers, former or current, would you like to see next in Hollywood? And what roles do you want to see them in? Light up the comments and make sure to like, share, and subscribe.